Welcome back, rowers, to Rowing at 38, my vlog, my tracking of getting back in shape after a long retirement from competitive rowing. For today's video, we're just going to be doing a short light row, but I want to talk to you first about the sound of the rowing stroke, especially on the indoor rower, which that is what I'm going to be on today. So most people don't even think about paying attention to what their indoor rowing sounds like and how they can use that sound to help them improve their power application and their rowing stroke. Now, if you are on the erg as a CrossFitter or just indoor rower that hasn't had any experience on the water and maybe don't want to have any experience on the water, then there are principles in terms of how to accelerate that load in that flywheel that aren't going to be as critical for you to achieve your goals. But I am a big believer that rowing, with its history, which lasts almost 200 years now, that there's been so much time put into refining what is the best stroke that I find it highly unlikely that what has been determined to be best practice on the water is not just best practice in general about how to create impulse on the erg. So I really think this can help you as well. But that being said, if you are training on the erg because you're a rower on the water as well and you have goals for performance on the water, then it is critical not just that you apply power, but you apply it in a very specific manner. And that manner is by accelerating the handle all the way from the catch to the release. So by accelerating, I'm saying that at each moment through the drive phase of the stroke, that your handle is moving slightly faster than the moment before it, and that you want to maintain that through. And so you'll see a lot of less experienced rowers that will just kind of peak in their power through the early or the middle part of the stroke, and they'll just kind of putter out at the end, and they'll just kind of pull the handle in without accelerating it. So what that's going to do on the water is it's going to, one, set the speed of the boat at the release at a much slower rate of acceleration. So when you're on the water, you're accelerating that boat all the way through the drive. As soon as you take your blade out of the water, the speed for the entire recovery is going to be set based on what you were doing at the moment of the release. And so that your stroke on the water needs to be set up to achieve maximum force acceleration at the release, so that you carry that acceleration and that speed into the recovery sequence. If you just hit the power hard on the front, or if you just peak out in the middle of the stroke and then you just kind of carry that handle in to the release, then you have basically brought in a slower, or you've set the recovery speed of the boat at a slower mark. And so your recovery, your speed on the entire recovery is going to be slower than it would have been if you had simply changed how you applied your power through the stroke. Now, coming back to the erg, the flywheel and the sound of the flywheel can really tell you a lot about how you're accelerating that flywheel, all right, how you're accelerating the handle through the stroke, all right. And so you're going to want kind of this kind of vroom, vroom kind of sound coming from that flywheel, and not kind of like a vroom, vroom kind of sound, all right. And so I'm sure I'm not going to start a career as a voiceover actor or as a sound creator, but you get the point. So I'm going to set up the camera today so that you guys can kind of follow along watching row, but I'm going to set it up close to the flywheel. I'm going to turn off the music so I don't have to mute this portion of the video, so I don't get copyright infringements when I do play music. But you guys will be able to listen to the flywheel as I go through this workout. And this workout today is just 15 minutes, nice and easy. So I did a harder workout yesterday, my first U1 in a very, very long time. So it was definitely pretty tired through the rest of the day yesterday. I'm actually feeling pretty good right now, but I'm still going to kind of take it easy. But the point of this being that even it doesn't matter how hard you're working in the stroke, you should always be accelerating. It's just a matter of how much you're accelerating. And so if it's in a nice light pressure like I'm going to be executing today, then it will be just a lighter acceleration. So you're going to start off a little bit softer and you're going to finish firmer, but not as firm as if you'd started out pretty firm and finishing much more firm. So pay attention to that. You can crank up the sound for a little bit, listen to that flywheel. Toward the end of the row, I'll do a couple shifts, maybe like 30 seconds each, where I'll do some higher rates and higher pressure so that you can hopefully see that, or listen to the fact that the sound of the flywheel has the same pattern. It's just going to be louder with the different power application, with the higher or the lower splits. But the sound should be the same. It should be that vroom, vroom kind of sound coming out of the erg. And so you guys can listen to this and it can help you with your power application. Other great way of doing it is if you have that power curve function on your indoor rower. Pretty much any of the newer monitors after the PM2 have that function. And so you can use that to get a parabola with your power application. It should be just a very smooth parabola, preferably with a high peak. And that's also a good indicator that you're accelerating your stroke well, that you're accelerating your handle from the catch to the release. But that's it. I'll cut now to me on the erg, and you guys can listen along, and I'll kind of give any debrief notes at the end, as well as doing a couple kind of higher pressure stuff so that you can listen to those as well. So that was the sound of the flywheel. I'm guessing I was probably a little closer to a U2 pace than a UT3 pace, so probably around 206-ish instead of maybe the 212-ish, 215 that I would have ideally liked to have been at. But you get the idea. What I want to do here is do a variety of pressures. So I'll do maybe 30 seconds at a couple different pressures so that you can hear the shift and the change with each one. Hopefully the pattern should be the same, and it's just the volume that's going to shift with each stroke rate. So let's do it. All right, we'll start at a zero pressure paddle. Guessing I'm about 250, 3 minutes slow right now. Just basically a nice light recovery pace. Maybe 230-ish. The shift about a UT3 pace. A little louder. Still hear the flywheel. Speeding up as I get towards the release. And a UT2. UT1. Stroke rate starting to come up. And let's come up a little more. More of a 10K race pace maybe. Shift into head race pace. And 2K pace. Back to the paddle. Always paddle it out after a faster effort. And there you have it. So hopefully that comes through in the editing so that you guys can hear the various steps in the acceleration. Whew. Catch my breath a moment. So that is the sound of a good rowing stroke. You have that vroom kind of acceleration from the catch to the release, and you can repeat that with each stroke. As you change the stroke rate, it's just the volume, all right, that's changing. You're still getting that vroom, or it might become a vroom,
vroom, vroom type of sound, all right? But you don't want the opposite. You don't want to kind of just slam it and then putter out. And let's do one of those right now. Sometimes it's challenging to demonstrate a bat stroke. It's a good thing about muscle memory. I don't know how that'll come through, but that was just me kind of hitting it at the catch and just kind of coasting through the back end of the stroke. So there's no doubt a subtlety there that takes some time to practice and listen to, but as long as you're aware of it, as long as you're paying attention to it, hopefully it can help you take better strokes on the erg. And if your goal is just indoor rowing and performance on the indoor rowing, then it will help you be more efficient at power application, but that acceleration is still very important for avoiding injury, right? Because it's gonna put the least amount of stress on your back at any given time. If you're just suddenly exploding at the front end and then puttering it out, then when you hit that explosion, you're putting a jarring force through your back, all right? And that could cause issues the more reps that you put in. Whereas if you're squeezing it, if you're squeezing through and accelerating, that's going to be a progressive increase of load on your back and on the rest of your joints in your body, and they'll be better able to continue producing that force, that impulse, without any risk of injury. And you can think about maybe driving in a car on a snowy road or a wet surface, if it's really wet, but pretty much snowy, that if you just slam on the gas, you're just going to spin out with your wheels, all right? You're not catching, all right, that load, that traction. Whereas if you squeeze that gas pedal, then you're gonna accelerate, all right? And the trick is finding how firmly can you squeeze on that gas pedal to get the acceleration that you want, all right? Especially at the start of a race. And so if you're thinking about the start of the race and you're really trying to get that boat going, it's just like sitting in a car at a stop sign on a snowy road, all right? You've got to figure out how much pressure you can put on that gas pedal to get up and going at the speed that you want without losing your traction and without sliding out. On the water, that would just be ripping water, all right, and washing out. On the erg, it's probably gonna be more indicative of a kind of a sudden jarring feeling at the catch in your lower back, all right? You want to squeeze, all right? You want to push against it, all right? So if you're another analogy, if you want to push a really heavy box, what you're gonna do is you're gonna get up next to that box, you're gonna kind of make your contact, your connection, and then you're gonna ease your force into it, and then once you feel like a good, stable power transfer, then you can really kind of push into it, all right, and move that big, heavy box. If you just walk up and just slam yourself into it, push, all right, one, you're probably not gonna move it as efficiently, and two, you're gonna jar your body, all right? You're gonna risk kind of hurting something or straining a muscle, all right? That whenever you're applying force, it's gonna be best to accelerate it, to push it, all right? So push with the legs, push, and make sure you have that good connection, all right? Push while you're pushing so that the handle is coming back with you as your legs are moving your center of mass away from the catch. So hope that helps you guys take it back into your rowing. You listen to that flywheel. The great thing about this feedback is all you need is the erg, all right? You don't need mirrors, you don't need a teammate to record you. All you gotta do is listen. So that's it, signing off for today, and we'll see you for the next vlog.